Hi, my name's Jen Risley and I'm the Project Officer for Pomewest. I'm working on the WA iteration of the PIPS for-profit IPM project.
Hi, I'm Greg Lafoe. I'm a Senior Research Scientist with Agriculture Victoria. I collaborate with Pomewest on the National PIPS for-profit program, specifically the Integrated Pest and Disease Management Project.
We're in an orchard in Donnybrook and we've just completed a biocontrol release of Dichasomorpha krausei. Can you talk us through the process for how that was done?
This is a collaboration. It's a national project called PIPS, and it's a collaboration between apple and pear growers such as Sam here in Donnybrook and West Australia, New South Wales, Agriculture Victoria and Tasmania. And this particular sub-project is looking at fruit fly biocontrol. In the eastern states that's Q-fly, and in Western Australia that's Medfly. And what we've found through our research partners working with Horde Innovation and other projects is that this particular parasitoid, which is native to Australia, occurs right across Queensland, Northern Territory into Western Australia. It seems to be moving south and following its Q-fly host in the eastern states. And so in temperate areas in the past it's been written off as a potential biocontrol agent for apple and pear growers because it wasn't certain that it would persist in the cooler areas of Australia. But this latest research has found that it not only can control Q-fly in Victoria, for example, but can persist from one year to the next. So it looks like it will be a very useful tool. And in Western Australia, we're looking at Medfly. And so we're asking the question, can this particular native parasitoid be a useful biocontrol for apple and pear growers in those more temperate zones where previously it wasn't considered?
So essentially our winter temperatures were thought too cold and perhaps our summer temperatures a bit too warm for this one to work in the past, but it has persisted in other areas in Victoria with similar conditions. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So in northern Victoria, it's persisted from one year to the next, and conditions are very similar to what we have in southwest Western Australia. And so we're quite hopeful that this trial here will demonstrate that it's not only controlling Medfly, but also persisting from year to year and controlling Medfly both in the orchard, where IPM is practiced, but also importantly around the orchard to slow down that reinfestation and suppress those outside pest populations.
So the issue the growers outlined here is there's a river nearby, there's also a town site very nearby, so those sorts of situations are the ones who would be looking to decrease pressure?
Yeah, and that's a pretty common situation for many growers. So both here in Donnybrook, and if we think about locations in the Goulburn Valley near Shepparton, they get the same sort of pressures. And so growers are really looking for those solutions that can control pest populations before they get into the orchard. Growers who practice IPM can do a really good job at protecting their fruit, but when you have your fruit constantly reinfested, it's an uphill battle.
Definitely. All right, and so what have we got in our hands that has helped us with this task so far? There's been a fair bit of process to get to this point. Can you talk us through that?
There has. So we know that this particular parasitoid, being native to Western Australia, is a low risk for release. So we've gone through a very rigorous process where we've consulted with WA Quarantine. We've brought the culture of these insects from our laboratory culture in Victoria because it's very hard to collect from the field in WA. So if we're going to release hundreds, we need to rear them in the lab, and so I brought that over here today, and we're conducting this release in a controlled situation where previous populations of the pest have been monitored. So if there's an effect of the parasitoid, we'll be able to measure that.
Excellent.